These are the tools and parts needed for a successful installation of the Tesla wall connector. This video shows a qualified electrician demonstrating how to properly install the Tesla wall connector. Before we start, assess the maximum load that can be added to the local distribution board at the customer's site. Ensure that the wiring is prepared in advance and that your workspace is clear. The wall connector can be installed both indoors and outdoors. Now, open the box and check that all of the following items are provided. Go ahead and reference the instruction manual throughout this video as needed for specific parts or tools. The rear bracket, the top entry bracket, and the Tesla wall connector. Don't forget to pull out the provided template from under the body of the wall connector. Safety is important to us at Tesla. Make sure you have the proper tools and personal protective equipment to perform this installation. Before you start the installation, make sure to switch the power off. If the power wiring runs along the floor or from inside the wall, use the low-profile bracket. If the power wiring runs down from the ceiling, use the top entry mount. This is how both completed installations should look. Before you start, ensure that the minimum and maximum height of the bracket is carefully selected. It should be installed out of the way of any reasonably foreseeable impacts. Let's start by installing the low-profile bracket for rear entry wiring. First, grab a sharp object and a pencil to push holes through the cardboard template. Use the provided template and a water level as a guide to mark the location on the wall for mounting the screws. Check your marks using the actual bracket and adjust if needed. In addition, make sure to use appropriate screws and plugs for the wall condition. Attach the bracket to the wall using the selected screws. Use the supplied screws only if mounting the bracket directly to a wooden stud. If mounting to another type of wall, such as a hollow or stone wall, use plugs which are appropriate to anchor the wall connector. Now let's demonstrate how to properly install the top entry mount bracket. The top entry bracket enables you to route the power wiring into the wall connector enclosure from the top. Again, grab a sharp object and pencil to push holes through the provided template. Use the cardboard template and a water level as a guide to mark the location on the wall for the two mounting screws. Here are two additional mounting holes. Using these two holes is optional and depends on the wall. If you decide to use them, use a flathead screwdriver to knock out the plastic holes. Before attaching the bracket to the wall, route the power wiring through the designated top entry with the appropriate cable gland attached. Use the appropriate screws to attach the bracket to the wall. Once the bracket is installed, strip the wires and connect the appropriate ferrules to the power wiring. Once attached, connect the wires into the terminal block inside the bracket. Color coding may vary depending on country. Fasten the wires with the appropriate torque. In this video, we will show you the procedure for installing a wall connector with top wiring. The same procedure can be used to install a wall connector with rear or bottom wiring. After installing the bottom or top wiring bracket, Use an appropriate Torx driver to carefully open the silver cover from the bottom to the top. Do not remove the plastic cover yet. Gently unhook the retention hooks on the sides of the cover. Here's a Tesla tip. Screw the small Torx screw back into the wall connector so it doesn't get lost during reassembly. Next, remove the 6 screws holding the inner cover. While opening the inner cover, disconnect the ribbon cable and make sure the inner cover doesn't fall off. Carefully place the inner cover face up next to the main body. Next, follow these instructions to mount the wall connector to the wall for top wiring entry. Place and hold the wall connector on the bracket continuously, ensuring that all 4 mounting tabs are properly aligned. Use a Torx driver to install the 2 top housing mounting screws. Push the cosmetic screw covers into place. Next, plug in the cosmetic cover at the bottom. Finally, route the already attached cables from the terminal block of the bracket into the main housing. Now, the provided cables can be connected to the terminal block in the main body of the wall connector. Be aware that not all terminals need to be connected. Check the installation manual for the correct wiring based on the grid configuration. Keep in mind that these colors may vary depending on your country. In order to connect the cables properly, make sure to follow the installation instructions carefully and tighten screws with the appropriate torque. Once the wall connector is secured to the wall, set the operating current by configuring the switches. This is an enlarged view of the switch and rotary selector. Power must remain off before setting or changing the switch or rotary selector. Changing these to power on will not be recognized by the system and is dangerous due to the risk of electric shock. Use a thin, pointed object to adjust the switch settings appropriately to either switch position 1 or 2. For switch position 1, if the grounding scheme is TN or TT, set the dip switch down. If the grounding scheme is IT, set the dip switch up, the on position. Dip switch position 2 should always be in the up position. Now, perform the first functional test. First, set the rotary to 0. Attach the ribbon cable and close the inner cover. Lightly tighten the top screw. Turn the power on. Listen for the click of a contactor or relay closing and opening. And watch the LEDs. Watch for green streaming LEDs. The LEDs will revert to top green LED on and red LEDs that will flash 3 times if the installation has been successful. If you see a different blinking code, refer to the manual for troubleshooting. To review the blinking code, press the reset button. To proceed, switch the power off again. Remove the inner cover and don't forget to disconnect the ribbon cable. Based on your initial assessment of maximum available current per phase, set the rotary switch into the correct position based on the breaker size. Select the appropriate breaker setting and refer to the sticker on the unit. Make sure to write your contact details and the date of installation on the provided sticker. Once you have selected the appropriate breaker size, Reattach the ribbon cable to the inner cover. Close the inner cover and tighten all screws. Next, remove the small torque screw at the bottom and close the silver cover. When closing the silver cover, start from the top and press gently down towards the bottom using both hands. Close the silver cover properly by tightening the torque screw. Now you can remove the protective plastic cover. Next, hook the handle into the dedicated spot on the wall connector. Switch the power on. Now, check if the installation is correct. The LEDs will go through a sequence of flashing, ending with the top green LEDs staying solidly on. If you see a different blinking code, refer to the manual for troubleshooting. Follow the same procedure to install the wall connector with bottom or rear entry. Now, with a successfully completed installation, Tesla owners will be able to seamlessly charge their vehicles. Thank you for watching.